right, good morning out there. I'm almost on 3715. 3714.9 something. CQ, the old friend's net. This is K4VWD, kilowatt 4 Victor Whiskey Delta, calling CQ the old friend's net. Our net meets 3 times a week here on 3715. We meet Thursday mornings at 9 o'clock, Tuesday mornings at 9 o'clock, and currently Sunday afternoons at 4 o'clock. So CQ, the old friend's net. This is K4VWD. And the only announcement I got is that 1 week from today is the first Thursday in next month. So 1 week from today, we got our luncheon at the Golden Corral in Spartanburg. So 1 week from today is our luncheon. And with that announcement, and it's raining here, I don't have a temperature. My rain gauge doesn't work when it's raining. It must get wet inside. My temperature gauge doesn't work. Because it must get wet inside, is what I should say. So CQ, the old friend's net. This is K4VWD, and I'll stand by for calls.
Good morning, Lee, WA4LLR.
N4LQ.
K4GDN.
WS2U.
K4GDN. Well, let's stop there just a second. I got LLR, LQ, and then I don't know who that was after Steve and before Mir, but I got Mir and George. So I missed somebody after Steve and before Mir. So please call me again.
Lee, that was maybe, I forgot to put the microphone button down, K4GDN.
Can somebody relay for me? I cannot copy that.
Yeah, after LQ, it's GDN and then Mir, F2U.
Okay, I got it backwards. So that was George, GDN. So the sequence is LLR, LQ, GDN, and 2U. All right. Those others that would like to check in, come now.
WB4ARK.
WB4NKL.
Buddy and Cliff, very good. Who else do we have?
W4MEC.
Good morning, Lee, W4VRO.
Okay, we got Charlie and Ray. Who else? Okay, let me go down the list one more time, and I hope I got the proper sequence this time. LLR to LQ to GDN to 2U to ARK, NKL to MEC to VRO. Do we have anybody else? We're getting started. It's good to hear everybody. We got a short list today, but that's not unusual for Thursday morning. Looks like to me there's 9 of us, so that's not bad. Dave, go ahead. WA4LLR in the group, K4VWD.
Okay, Lee. K4VWD in the group. WA4LLR. Good morning to everybody. From Dave in Burnsville, North Carolina. Running the ART-13 and receiving on the HQ-180, feeding a dipole at about 50 feet. We've got 53 degrees. We've had 3/10 of an inch of rain. At the moment, it's just kind of misty, not raining, but it has been raining pretty good earlier today. So we'll see what happens. At least it's not snow and ice. And the ground is thawing up here. It was frozen pretty hard. So I'm happy about that. We'll go ahead and send it on down to Steve, N4LQ, WA4LLR.
WA4LLR, N4LQ. Okay, well, good to hear everybody this morning and all the good boat anchors. ART-13 sounds great, Dave, and so does the AF-68. Lee, running the AF-67 here and driving the AL-82 amplifier and the full wave horizontal loop antenna. We were talking about cheap receivers on the other net this morning, and what's a good entry-level boat anchor receiver. Not the best receiver, but the one that's cheap and small and affordable, and some things like HR-10 Heath kits were mentioned, and among some others. So if you were going to buy, you just get into the boat anchor business, what would you look for? And with that, I'll turn it over to George. Good morning. K4GDN, N4LQ.
N4L2 in the group, K4GDN. And I'm running the Buffalo Max 40, the AF-67, the PMR-7, feeding the operating around the linear, about 125 watts. And I'm on the center for a dipole. And the microphone here is a Turner 350. It's a handheld. And it looks like I might be getting some progress. So somebody might comment on that. So let's see. It goes to there. WF2U in the group, K4GDN.
Roger, K4GDN. And the net, this is WF2U. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Let's see. First things first. Everybody's strong here, except for George. About 50% copy on you, George. You're almost down at the noise level, and there is a little QSB. Steve so far is the strongest, with Dave and Lee about the same signal strength. Running the GRC-19 and the system receiver, which is the R392, has only a carrier level meter, but anyway, so it's up to like 120 dB from 0. So Steve is about mid-scale. Davey's a little bit lower than that. Lee's a little bit lower than that. Then George barely moves it. And Buddy, Cliff, Charlie, and Gray around 40 dB on the meter here. So again, just around mid-scale, which would probably translate to about S9 on a regular S meter. It's raining here. Not hard, it's just a steady light rain. So far this morning, we got 0.6 of an inch, and the temperature is 57 degrees. Feels pretty mild. And The antenna right now is the 80 meter end fed. And Steve, last night I had a weak signal. I discovered when I turned the station off and disconnected the antenna that by mistake I put the 80 meter antenna into the antenna connection of the T195 transmitter of the GRC19, but the auto tuning it tuned it didn't even complain. So that explains why my signal was so low, while everybody else last night was pretty strong. And so, with that, it goes to Buddy. WB4ARK, this is WF2U.
WF2U, WB4ARK. Okay, Mir. Well, looks like we've got a pretty good net this morning with everybody's signal about the same, except George is a little bit light. And we've had 0.28 inches of rain since the check yesterday at 7 a.m. And still raining here, just a drizzle. And let's see, the forecast is, I think, heavier rain later this week with possible thunderstorms on Saturday. So we'll see about that. I've heard one lightning crash this morning on the net, but that's been it. So we're running the ART-13 this morning, R390A horizontal dipole, and so we'll turn it over to WB4NKL. This is WB4ARK.
WB4ARK is WB4NKL. Cliff in Limestone, Tennessee, running a DX100B transmitter into a PAL Star tuner into ladder line and 160 meter dipole. Buddy, you sound better. Sounds like you're recovering from the COVID. Or anyway, at least your voice sounds better, put it that way. And 55 and misty rain here, fog. I was telling somebody I had trouble finding a Radio Shack this morning. But, I think I'll take the 55. It's what a difference a week makes in the temperatures. Don't miss those single digits. And let's see, Steve, I guess if I was looking for a boat anchor that worked good and nowadays cheap at the Hamfest, you didn't say whether now or back in the day, but I guess one of the Hammerlands is about the best deal going now. Maybe not the best value, but I think they made enough HQ 129s for everybody, and they're a good little receiver, sensitive and pretty good audio. And then the ones that followed it, HQ 140 and 145s, but it seems like they're about the most bang for the buck nowadays. Go ahead, Charlie. W4 MEC, WB4NKL.
Okay, Cliff. WB4NKL. It's W4MEC. Good morning, everybody. And it's a balmy 55 degrees here. Rain. My rain gauge says 1.25 inches since it started. So more to come, I guess.
the weatherman says we're still in drought, but I find that hard to believe, but that's just a number on his book. So, signals are up and down. Mir actually had a fade on them there, so I guess maybe it's some of the effects of the storm that Dave told us about last Tuesday. And even Cliff took a dip, so I'm not going to hold it too long. I mean, entry-level receivers, yeah, I agree. HR10, if you can find them, at a decent price, and they have the filter crystals in it, and they're not missing, and they're good. Sometimes I've run across them with a bad crystal. I don't know, just any of the Johnsons, I mean, Holocrafters, the SX100, SX110, any of those be good. They're around $100 a piece. And but like Cliff said, there's some options out there today, and I think there's more so, available now than normally, and mostly on places like eBay, and when you see them there, some of the folks don't want a deal, you just got to ignore them and wait for the next one to come along. There'll be something like an HR10 will be $200 on one auction, and it'll be $55 on another, so it doesn't make any sense. Let's see. Goes to Ray next, W4VRO in the group, W4MEC.
W4MEC and the net, W4VRO. Good morning, Charlie. Good morning, everyone on the net. 60 degrees this morning. Rained a lot here last night. Still drizzling a little. Some static crashes, but they aren't close by. They were a little earlier. I think they have calmed down or moved on. I don't know which. Copying everybody, Q5 very easily except George. I heard that fade, Charlie, on Mir in particular. So I hope that doesn't indicate that we're going to have trouble copying here in a few minutes, but we'll keep it going anyway. Entry-level or low-priced receivers. I would look for a receiver that had a low second IF. Just knows that one Charlie mentioned, I think, although I'm not familiar with that receiver. But the SX100 was my first experience with a dual conversion receiver with a 50 KC final IF and a lot of 10 circuits, and that was an amazing receiver to me. Still is today. Still an excellent receiver. Helicopters used 50 KCs as the final IF, and Hamlin used 60 KCs. But that'll provide, to have enough 10 circuits, that will provide selectivity approaching a mechanical filter. In the early 60s, I built a receiver from parts, not my design. It was a receiver in the amateur radio handbook, dual conversion, crystal lattice filter in the first IF and a 50 KC second IF. And that receiver had excellent selectivity. And I enjoyed using that for quite a time. Couldn't do that today because it'd be hard to do it today. Parts are not easily found for a project like that. Well, Lee, let's see if anyone else wants to join us. K4VWD in the group, W4VRO.
Okay, Ray, thank you. This is K4VWD. Is there anybody else that would like to join us? If so, please call me now.
K4VWD, this is Whiskey 4, Uniform Oscar Charlie.
Hey, Tom, go ahead and make a transmission and turn it back to me. W4UOC, K4VWD.
Good morning to the group. I haven't been on here for quite some time. My name is Tom. I'm off Lake Arrowhead near Valencia, Georgia. We moved from Sandy Springs, Atlanta area. temporarily moved to our log cabin in LJ, but now we have a new home. I guess it's our current residence. But anyway, I'm running pretty low power. I've sort of changed things around. I'm definitely not running anything vintage, and I'm also somewhat low power. I'm only running about 25 watts on a Flex 6400M. I had other stuff set up, but I'm sort of rearranging things and getting back on the air. And it rained a lot last night. Our creek in the backyard now is a lake. Maybe I should put in a dock. But we have a culvert that goes under a main road through here. We're in a mountain lake community, and a lot of mountains, a lot of hills, and a lot of culverts that tend to get plugged up. So thank you for letting me in the C4VWD W4UOC.
Okay, Tom. Well, you're running here about an S3 to an S6 and 100% copy. I hope that creek doesn't get out of its bank. Is there anybody else that would like to join us? If so, call me now, please. I don't hear anybody. Well, as most of you know, my name's Lee, Lima Echo Alpha. I'm running an AF68 to a Bandit amplifier, about 190 watts, to a dipole, and the 190 watts comes from that Bandit amplifier. 372Bs, I think, in it. So that's who I am, and the dipole is up pretty high, but I'm not sure exactly how high, but I'd say at least 50 feet, maybe a little more. Charlie, maybe you can answer that. So we'll keep it going, and we'll go around again. So Dave, here she comes. WA4LLR in the group. K4VWD.
Okay, Lee, fine business. K4VWD. And the old friends, WA4LLR. Good morning to you, Tom. Your Flex and 25 watts sound good up into Burnsville, North Carolina. 100% copy with no problems whatsoever. Everybody is sounding good with the exception of George. He's pretty light here, and I'm sure I am on him as well. And there is some QSB on mirror. Let's see here. Yeah, Charlie was talking about geomagnetic storms that they've been heralding for the last few days, and every day they extend the storm watch. So it hasn't hit yet, and it hasn't hit yet. The science of predicting the impact of a geomagnetic storm is probably about as exact as our weather guessers for terrestrial weather. But anyway, it's hard to see if it, it's hard to predict if it's going to do a glancing blow, a miss, or a direct impact is pretty easy to predict, but these are kind of on the fringes, are hard to come up with. But anyway, let me give you a few things that are going on right now. The latest forecast is sunspot count's 108, solar flux index is 172, and the K is 1 to 1.67, somewhere in that ballpark. So they're still extending the geomagnetic field, or the geomagnetic storm watch. A few items from this day in history. On this day in 1917, Mary Tyler Moore passed away. I always liked her. On this day in 1971, Charles Manson and 3 of his followers were convicted for the series of murders described in the book Helter Skelter. On this day in 1949, the first Emmy Awards were presented. Here's an interesting one. On this day in 1945, in an effort to prevent tooth decay, Grand Rapids, Michigan became the first U.S. city to add fluoride to its water system. On this day in 1905, the world's largest diamond was found in Pretoria, South Africa. It weighed 1.33 pounds, not carats, but pounds. On this day in 1961, Kennedy gave the first live TV news conference. And on this day in 1968, the Israeli sub Dakar vanished. They finally located the wreckage in 1999 between Cyprus and Crete. It was at 9,800 feet, and they lost 69 souls on that voyage. So, on down to you, Steve, N4LQ, WA4LLR.
WA4LLR, N4LQ. That took a little fade on me there toward the end, Dave. Band's kind of changing around a little bit. George came through okay, but you were a little bit lighter than usual. I don't know, maybe it was the Turner mic. They just don't seem to work as well as D104, but maybe I'm prejudiced, I don't know. This mic is the amplified version, and I got it inside the preamp the other day, and I changed the capacitor on the input, and it did seem to bring up the low frequency response a bit. So I'm pretty happy with D104s. They seem to cut through the noise better than most of them do. And mirror fine business on the wrong antenna. Yeah, I kind of expected something like that because you just didn't sound yourself last night. And it was a little bit rough trying to copy. And thanks everybody for their inputs on the receivers. It's always good to hear about the old receivers. And I got a soft spot for HQ129s also. I think they were the sort of the beginning of a great thing for Hammerland, and everything kind of evolved from there with the pinch roller instead of dial string. That's one main thing I prefer. I do not like dial strings, and I like their pinch roller system. As long as it doesn't slip, that's a great system to drive that tuning dials. And Ray mentioned the 50 KCIF that came out later on. Yeah, I wonder who the first was on that. I know that the Hammerlands ended up with that, and Hallicrafters, and so forth. And of course, Drake had a low frequency IF on the last IF. Seemed like a good thing, and I believe the theory is that the lower the IF frequency, the more selective it tends to be due to several things. I wonder if anybody has ever had a Drake R8. Drake R8, or they made an A and a B versions of that. There is some major differences, but I've been admiring those lately, and they do have synchronous AM on them, and that looks like one of the few receivers that even has synchronous AM, which, if you don't know what that is, you're not relying on the other person's carrier to supply the beat note to demodulate the signal. You supply that yourself, so it's sort of like turning on the BFO, but a lot better, and it sort of locks in on the frequency. So I'd be interested in seeing if anybody's ever had a Drake R8 receiver. Let's see, anything else here? I think that's about it. Most of the Drakes, by the way, that I've seen on AM are just too narrow, including the 2B and the R4 series. R4s are marginal, but for the most part, I like to be able to widen them out a little bit. It seems like Drakes are a little bit too narrow, although they are great receivers and they don't take up a lot of room on the table. Go ahead and take it, George. Hope you can copy okay. K4GDN, N4LQ.
Okay, N4L2 in the group, K4GDS. Yeah, I'm copying you fine, but the band is getting a little crazy here. Vera was weak, Cliff was weak, and so was Charlie and Ray, and I didn't copy Tom at all. But everybody else is there, and there is a good bit of QSP that seems to be getting pretty deep. As far as the brakes go, I've got the 4B twins, I like it. There was a guy in Spartanburg years ago, and I don't remember his name a long time, but he had a whole, looked like everything brake that ever made. He had some of the transceivers, the later solid state versions, and he must have bought all that stuff up as the other things were coming out and brakes were going down. But anyway, I've never used any of the H-series stuff. Anyway, again, on the using the Turner 350, it's not amplified, it's a handheld mic. And I do agree, I like the D104s better. This just keeps me having to change the mic around. And it is unamplified. Just running it straight into the AM67. And I have to turn the gain up a little bit on it compared to the brake. But when I'm running a D104, but when I'm using a D104, I'm using an unamplified. No, it's an amplified D104. I use the unamplified one up there. So anyway, sorry about the confusion. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Beer. Now we're going to have to do you in the K4GDS.
Roger. K4GDN, and the net, this is WFDU. George, about 20% again. When QSB is bringing the signal up, I can copy you, and then you take a dive into just into the noise level, which is surprisingly relatively low considering the rain. I was checking for thunderstorms. There are a lot of thunderstorms like south of Atlanta towards the west, southwest, and I was afraid that it's going to be very staticky, but it's really not bad. Anyway, everybody else is pretty strong, including Tom is not strong, but 100% copy. The 25 watts are doing a pretty good job, and have no problems copying. Just a couple of, let's see, yeah, I made some notes here. A couple of observations, or actually replies here. Steve, as much as I'm looking at R8 sometimes on eBay, especially somehow I never had one, and with me being a receiver fleet, it should be really in my collection, and also considering I like Drake, and I have all the cheap stuff and the PR7 in my collection, and I use them, so maybe it's time to think about an R8B specifically. I like the way they look, but I never even saw one in live operation, except on YouTube sometimes. And the other one, Lee, is just the fact that I'm sitting in front of my GRC19 reminds me that I actually have the issue of QST that you have a photo of yourself there while you were serving in Germany, right next to a GRC19. I think it was a G-Transit one. And every time I'm here, I remember that photo. So, anyway, buddy, I hope you feel better. And Cliff, Charlie, and Ray, you are pretty strong also. And with that, it goes to Buddy again. WB4ARK. This is WFU.
WF2U, WB4ARK. Okay, Mir. Good copy this round. As it was with all the other stations except Tom. Tom, I think the copy on your signal was about 15%. I heard your call when you first called in, and I was glad to hear you again. I haven't heard you in a while. I thought, well, probably going to get a good transmission from you, but wasn't to be. Your signal faded down, and I was able to pick up a couple of comments about your issues, and so we've got 63 degrees here right now. And we had a light fog earlier, but it has dissipated. And so, thanks, Cliff, for the comment about the COVID. And Mir, I feel fine. I don't really have very much of a symptom from the COVID right now. I started feeling good a couple of days ago. And so that's it with the COVID. I'm going to do a COVID test. Let Lena do one on me today. She did one yesterday and was negative. So that's the way it's going here. I think we're moving on away from it. So let's see what else we got. Well, I've always been a helicopter person myself. Started out with the S-76, which I still have the original receiver, and then went to an SX-101A. And I really do like the helicopter equipment. So that's the case there. Which, of course, they have the 50K CIF. Let's see what else we got. I guess that's about it for right now. Hadn't been doing too much. I've been working on a physics unit that came in the other day for repair. Got it done. And so we'll probably be packing it up today as soon as I get some shipping info. So we'll turn it back over to Cliff, WB4NKL. This is WB4ARK.
And WB4ARK, it's WB4NKL. Okay, buddy, glad you're feeling better. Glad you got that behind you. I like the helicopter stuff too. I started out, my dad had a Helicopters SX-18 was a receiver out of the 30s, and that was I grew up with that one. Used it for a receiver when I was a novice, and I still got it. So it's been in the family for a long time. Steve, I never had a R8. I do have one of the Drake 2As, which are a little wider on AM than the 2Bs, and I like it pretty well for AM. Mostly because it's small, I can pick it up and run with it to different locations. But you don't see too many 2As. You see it, I'd say 10 2Bs at the Hamfest for every one 2A, so I don't guess they made as many of them. And good morning to Tom. Sounding good into Limestone, Tennessee, Tom. And I think I've met you at the Ham Fest before. I don't know if I've talked to you on the air, but you've got a good signal up this way with the 25 watts. Copied everybody fine except George, and he was a little light here, didn't get too much of that. Copied Ray pretty good. So I guess that's the distant station for me, is Ray and George and Tom. So send it on around. Go ahead, Charlie. W4 MEC, WB4 NKL.
Very good, Cliff. B4 NKL in the group, W4 MEC. Well, George is very light in here. Hardly a copy on him, but I switched over to my 160 meter dipole, and I actually picked him up better. And it's tuned to 160. With the tuner, so if I had a quick way to bring it to resonance on 75, he would probably be stronger on that dipole, because it's a little more broadside to him than my dipole is. Let's see. We had a power outage last night, and I woke up at 5:57 and said, "Oh my God, I'm either blind or the power's out," because it was pitch black. So my alarm clock was not lit, so I couldn't see it, So I got up there and made it out of the kitchen there and found my cell phone and turned it on and called 1-800-POWER on. And it's funny, the power went off about 5:35. The first call in was 5:57. I called it 6:02, and about 1,400 of us were out of power, which is the standard batch of people. If ever the power goes out here, it's me and 1,399 other customers. I don't know where it quits at, but it's a common spot. And they said 9:30 it would be back on, but it was only on for about an hour. It came on about 7 o'clock or something like that. So 6:30, something like that, 6:30 or so. Anyway, what else we got? R8. The R8 is an interesting receiver. It's kind of like certain power tubes and audio files drive the price up. At one time, the R8 really held its value because it was sought after by the SWLer. I mean, if you wanted to be the top of the totem pole there, you had an R8 Bravo. The R8's got some issues, and I believe there's an A and a B, but I think maybe I used to know all about this because I wanted to buy one of those things, and they were still selling for like over $1,000 at one time. And there was something about the A you didn't want. You wanted to get the B. It fixed all the problems by the B. And but that's been so long. It's been so long since I was looking into that. But I remember that there was an issue with the earlier versions, and I just can't remember what it is. But the only thing you got to be careful of if you get one is the parts inside, being able to get replacements, because that's some old. It's not necessarily old technology, but it's a lot of old parts, and what might seem as it's all solid state, you might think that, hey, I can go fix that. You can go looking for parts and you can't find transistors or ICs or all that. It becomes a real good hunt on getting the parts you need if it needs to be fixed. So you just don't go to Newark and get most of those parts, or even DigiKey. You end up going to China and Taiwan. And they're the only ones that have them. Anyway, the microphone. Someone mentioned the Turner. I had a Turner ceramic mic that I married up with a Heathkit. I had all three Heathkit's HW series of the single banders there, 12, 22, 32. And that was my band switch. I kept all three of them in my pickup truck. I would swap them out and swap out the antenna Hustler vertical, swap out the resonator, but I had this Turner microphone, and on it was a mobile mic, and I set it on the back. And there was a little rubber strip on the grill, and it says in the directions, hold it so far from your mouth. This mic was basically up against your mouth, and you were supposed to, couldn't get any closer than that little rubber strip, but that's how close you were supposed to hold it. So and noise canceling. It was a black microphone, said ceramic noise canceling mobile mic. So I still have it somewhere with the same 2-pin connector on it for the Neath kit. All right, let's see. Goes to Ray, W4VRO in the group, W4BC.
W4MEC, W4VRO. Okay, for the first part of that. As we get on up into the morning, conditions are changing and signals are fading fast. So I'll be brief. Enjoyed it very much. Lee, thank you for calling the net. Tom, thank you for checking in. Tom, when I move off the morning, Tom, and have the receiver on, about 7 o'clock or so, and about 8, I'm able to KPC's Expediter and listen to your net. And always glad to have you check in, Tom, and hope you will often. My name is Ray. Probably thought that. Romeo Alpha Yankee. Location is Coweta, southern part of Coweta County. Near the community of Raymond. That was 50 miles south of Atlanta. And I know exactly where you are, almost exactly, up near Lake Arrowwood. And previously I guess, or maybe, no, I think you still have a cabin on this one. But good to hear you. Glad you checked in with us. $73. We'll look for you next time. All of you have a good week. Over to you, Tom. W4UOC in the group. W4VRO.
VRO, W4UOC. Yes, we've talked before. And you remember W4TC? I think you knew him pretty well. Unfortunately, I believe, well, I don't really, he passed. He had a health, serious health. He used to talk about you as well. But thanks for letting me check in and join 3725 group sometime. It's been going on for over many, many, many years. And periodically we get together. As a matter of fact, they were supposed to come here for a business meeting. We do an annual end of the year kind of a gift thing, but it's, you know, the kinds of gifts are one man scholarship, a couple of multiple choice, what they take out of that. But anyway, thanks for letting me check it. I've known Lee for a long, long time. I'm trying to think how we initially met. It goes back a long way. Just last, and you're right. Yes, I do have. We have a log cabin on the coast of Waterford, on Edgewater. When I bought that cabin, there were only 2 cabins on about it. And now there are 7. It's a pretty short drive. Road wise, it's about 40 miles from here. But if you get the highway, it's got But thank you very much for letting me join you, and I'll try to be a little more regular. We're still in the flow of unpacking stuff. It's every day we do it for the last Christmas. So 73, I guess it goes back to the A4BWD, W4UOC.
Okay, Tom. This is K4BWD. Well, thank you for checking in. I didn't get all your transmission that time, but I got a lot of it. So it's good to have you, and I hope you'll keep checking with us occasionally. Sure am glad to have you. Let's see, buddy, I am glad you're finally getting over that COVID. That's good news. And I don't want anybody to forget our lunch come Thursday at the Golden Corral in Spartanburg. So don't forget that. And we'll go around one more time, 73 rounds. WA4LLR in the group, K4VWD.
K4VWD in the group. WLR was 7-3 to Ray, 7-3 to Tom. Buddy, you were talking about receivers still having your original S76. I wanted one for years. Loved that big S meter. Finally found one at Shelby year before last, and I thoroughly enjoyed that S76. Not much more here. Got to head out to Asheville to a doctor's appointment for the XYL. I've enjoyed it. Lee, thanks for calling Annette. Everybody have a great day. 7-3, God bless, and we'll look for you on Sunday, Lord willing. N4LQ, WA4LLR.
Okay, Dave. Yeah, the S76 might have been the first receiver, at least that I know of, that had an actual product detector. Maybe it lacks some of the modern updates, but it still seemed like that is probably the first one. If I'm wrong, let me know. Anyway, thanks for the comments, especially from Charlie on the R8s. That's real interesting. And kind of like to find a B model, but those are going for way over $1,000 these days. 73s, have a good day, everybody. And I guess, of course, we're on 160 tonight at 8 p.m. and every night. And the next net here will be Sunday at 4 p.m. 73s and over to George, K4GDN, N4LQ.
N4LQ in the group, K4GDN. And the bad seems to be falling out here. I've seen Lee, Steve, and Freddie, and that's about it. And as far as starting receivers, I've got two. I've got an HQ100 and a 110A. That's about it. Here's what I'm looking for. Be happy to celebrate the best 40 customers and the 144 sold by both So with that, I'm going to say 73. Look forward to being in your own Sunday. Lee, thanks for smiling to them. So let's go to the beer. WF2, you're in the group. K4GDN.
Amir, go ahead.
Here, okay. K4GDN and the group, WFTU. Sorry, George, you completely faded out when you turned it over to me. So I had to pause until I was alerted that you passed it on to me. Anyway, nice round, and it was just conditions. George, normally I copy you pretty well.
Well, now it really...
And 73 Ray and Tom. And I'll be on 160 tonight as usual. And I'll make sure that I have the 160 meter head plugged in to the T3 to the T195. I'm still laughing at myself, and I thought that conditions were just lousy last night, so they said, but they really were, and I caused it. So, have a nice day, everybody. Take care. And we'll be here Sunday on the old Transnet again. Hopefully conditions are going to be good. And what else? I guess that's only my... Oh, yeah. Lee, I don't know if you're aware of it. And Steve also. And everybody who has the LMAX gear, that there is an LMAX net at 5 p.m. Wednesday for 3880. I just saw something on Facebook and I asked when it is, and I got the reply, so I'll try to get on that test as soon as I have time around 5 o'clock. So 73 will take care, and Buddy takes the mic, WP4ARK. This is WFC 73, but I'm going to put the end on that.
Okay, Mayor, WF2U is WB4ARK. Well, I don't remember Helicrafter ever having a product detector on any of their receivers. So thanks, Lee, for calling the net, and until next time. And over to, we'll say 73 at this point, and over to Cliff, WB4NKL, WB4ARK.
And WB4ARK, it's WB4NKL. Okay, buddy. Yeah, the SX76 was dual conversion, but no product detector. I'm thinking maybe the 101, the one of the later ones maybe had a product detector. Not sure on that. I'll say 73s also, and thanks for calling it, Lee. And we'll try to be in here Sunday and try to make the 160. I got out a little late last night, and I don't know whether the band was dead here or what. There wasn't anybody talking, so maybe it was a short one last night. So 73s, and go ahead, Charlie. W4MECs, WB4NKL.
Okay, Cliff, W4NKL and the group W4MEC. Real good. Well, I think the purist probably on the buying their first boat anchor should start like with an S38 or an S41. And it's not that they're as sensitive or whatever. Of course, they're not very selective, but that's where you cut your eye teeth on some of these broad receivers to be able to pick a signal out amongst all the cacophony of others, So I think too many people in today with their modern computer rigs there and super sharp filters would get frustrated with some of these old receivers here having to use that filter between your ears to work through a station there, work through the signal. So, but a lot of options out there. But yeah, anyway. Okay, yep, $1,000. That's amazing. I'm amazed that the R8B is that still that expensive with the demise of shortwave listening. So, but it's still up there. Anyway, we'll talk to you fellas on Sunday, hopefully, and we'll see you later. 7-3. And let's see, W4VRO in the group W4MEC.
I'm pretty sure he signed out. Ray, are you there? I don't hear him. He and Tom signed out, I think, Charlie. Good net. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Y'all don't forget the lunch come Thursday. Talking about first receivers. My first receiver was an SX28. Man, was that thing heavy. And I was glad to get rid of it because it was so heavy. But it worked fine. I've made a lot of contacts using that and a DX35, my first transmitter. Been a long time ago. Over 60 years. Well, let's see. Let's take a quick standby. Does anybody have any final comments? If so, call me now. Don't hear any. Well, I'm off frequency a little bit, but not a whole lot. So thank you everybody for checking in. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Good to hear Buddy's okay. Sure was good to hear Tom. Hope y'all have a wonderful week. I'll say 7-3, God bless. And I got to go to a dermatologist today. So I'm not looking forward to that. So again, 7-3, God bless everybody. Thank you for being here. This is K4VW.